All right, so Sydney Mitchell and Tommie Glover, thank you for being on I guess we can call it the after show for a seat at the table. Evie had some very tight deadlines, so she couldn't be with us during this conversation. But, one of the things that we covered so much ground, and you both were fantastic when we were going through the show. And, like I told you offline, there were so many comments coming through in the Q&A box, and then there was so many questions in the Q&A box that we couldn't get to. So I think we've decided that we'll look at one of the questions from the audience that we didn't get to, and we can answer it here. And I think that's perfect. One that came up that was very, very interesting, I think, for all of us is, do we have a COVID mental health crisis, or have we gone too far with coddling our children? And that comes up a lot, the coddling thing, as older adults, the young kids are always coddled. So Sydney, I'm going to start with you. What do you say to that?
So I would say my perception is that it's not COVID isolated most kids. And so it pointed out a lot of gaps in social emotional skills, right? When we take away socialization, our skills are going to fall back. So I think that COVID did create this social skills crisis, but I think it also just gave us this time and space away from a traditional school setting that also when we came back, we noticed like, oh my gosh, my kids are really struggling. My kids have anxiety. My kids have a lot, like maybe they're fighting, all these things that I think we almost became desensitized to pre-COVID, that when we came back post-COVID, it was like, oh my gosh, this is a crisis. Yeah. So I do think it exacerbated some mental health and social emotional learning skills, like the gap of, but I would not say that we are coddling our kids.
And Tommie, thank you for that. Tommie, what about you?
I agree with you wholeheartedly, Sydney, because I think what COVID did was brought that awareness that, hey, the importance of mental health, because prior to COVID, mental health and SEL were needed in school, but once we stepped away from school and people didn't have others to lean on, we realized, well, hey, I need someone to lean on, someone to talk to. I need help with self-regulation. I need help with relationship skills. I don't want to talk about politics, but a lot of politicians were saying, hey, look, these kids need to be in what? They need to be in school. They need to be playing. They need to be socializing, despite certain things going on. As soon as possible, let's get them back to school because it is needed. But prior to COVID, kids were dealing with divorce. Kids were dealing with separation. They were dealing with anxiety, dealing with grief, So what COVID did was just bring about the realization of it, the awareness of it, and I also think overall the value of mental health, how much it is needed.
Yeah, I think back on, because when I saw that question, I think back on, my dad passed when I was 11. So my mom went back to get her GED the year after he died and all that stuff. And there was you just didn't have teachers talking to you about it. It was almost like I went into school and a couple of teachers said, I'm really sorry about your dad. And then never again was there was no school psychologist. There was nothing. It was just, you're on your own. So I agree with you. I think we've gotten to a place now where we're actually talking about social emotional learning and mental health. And we need to obviously do a lot more talking where this is concerned, a lot more action, taking actionable steps. But I think we're getting to a place where we're actually maybe treating people more like humans. And that's kind of a nice place to be.
Well, and I think I have heard so many times, like I mentioned, I work a lot with parents. Yeah. And so many times, like time after time after time, parents will say, I wish we had this when I was in school. Mm-hmm. I think what you just said, like, it has nothing to do with coddling kids. I think we look at a school structure now and it's like, well, that wasn't like that when I was in school. But what would have happened if it was? And like, think about the mental health crises that we've had. And like, when you look around how many people, especially, my parents' age, my grandparents' age, that struggle with things and never could talk about it. What would have happened if in schools they were encouraged to talk about it? There were spaces that they could discuss some of those things. And I think like most people that you talk to will say, I wish it was like that when I was in school.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing to end on. So Tommie Glover, Sydney Mitchell, thank you for joining me after the show. I know you were just both fantastic to have on the show. I know I keep saying the same word over and over again, but I just can't believe how quickly the conversation just flew by. So I look forward to following up on this conversation with the two of you.